All right, everybody, let's do this thing. Make sure the lighting is good, even though you're looking at my screen. Thanks everybody for being here today. It's good to have these back in full swing after the Thanksgiving holiday. So participation is always encouraged. You got questions, just tell Colin, hey, shut up. I got a question on this, or you can use this chat box. And there are no dumb questions in these Wednesday meetings. So let's talk about these new conforming loan limits. You hear about this. This is like a popular graphic. It's easy for loan officers to talk about, right? Where, hey, here's the new conforming loan limit. It's like, that's great. And what I've realized is a lot of people don't even know what that means. So this will be just 15 minutes or so. We'll buzz through what this means for you, how you might apply this to business planning in 2023. So a quick refresher, when it comes to types of loans, they fall into different categories. You've got conventional or conforming loans. So I had a really good question this past week from an agent on PHT who said, what's a conforming loan? And that's a great question because you hear conforming, conventional, they're exactly the same. It means they conform to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's guidelines for loans that can be sold to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, okay? They're the most popular type of loan, a conventional or conforming loan. Then you got three different types of government loans. You've got FHA, VA, and USDA. And then, of course, you have your jumbo products that banks keep on the books. So that comes into play because those would be non-conforming or jumbo loans, which means they are non-conforming to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac standards. And as such, the banks have to portfolio them. Non-QM loans fall into this category as well. Sometimes they're called private label mortgages, which is a fancy way of saying that you're not selling it to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, or it's not government insured. So with that in mind, let's talk about this conforming loan limit. So again, this is the max loan amount that Fannie or Freddie will buy. Lenders want that, right? They know that this loan has a home, right? They don't have to keep a $647,000 mortgage on the books for an extended period of time. They know Fannie Mae will buy it. They know Freddie Mac will buy it, okay? It was $647,200 for 2022. It's now $726,200. So a pretty substantial increase. The Reader's Digest version in terms of one takeaway. All right, that means that you can now buy a $764,000 house with just 5% down. Say that again, 764,000 and put just 5% down on a conventional mortgage. 3% down, yes, it's an option as well. 748,000 would be the max purchase price for 3% down. So those would be some takeaways. Those are kind of the long and short of a real life applied example to, well, what does the increase mean? Well, there you go, you know, above $750,000 with just a 5% down payment. Conforming loans through the years. I showed this chart in yesterday's Tuesday meeting, which is pretty interesting. I mean, if you go back the last 23 years, you'll see at the turn of the century, the maximum you could borrow on a conforming loan would be $252,700. You see how that number grew leading up to 2006 and then stayed flat at 417,000 until 2016, which is interesting as well. So you see the growth from 2016. I mean, that was only a $7,000 increase. And then you've seen substantial increases as housing values have grown. And this is almost the biggest increase yet, with the exception of 2021 to 2022. You'll see the 2 and 3 units. That becomes important for 2 to 4 unit properties, right? So if you're going to go buy a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex with a conventional loan, then you do get up to, you know, 1.244 million for a quadplex. That would still be sent to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. it would be eligible for purchase. It would conform to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac's standards, right? So remember, if you have more than one unit, your loan limit is going to go up. Questions on the conforming loan limit?
Not really questions, but an observation. I think it'd be really interesting to see what the average median income was in comparison to this for all of these years.
Yeah. I'm guessing it probably wouldn't track as well.
Probably not.
Cool. What about FHA? Colin, what about my FHA clients? Yes, FHA is lower, and I realize as I read that, don't misconstrue that. The FHA is lower than conventional in terms of the loan limit, but FHA is going up as well. Okay, so last year, Matt, you know what the max, what's the max FHA? Was it 417?
It was 448.
448. Okay.
I think that sounds right.
That is right. Yeah. So FHA is going up, but not as much. And your max FHA loan amount is going to be lower than conventional. So for a standard single family home, $472,030 is what HUD says FHA will insure. So, you know, that same kind of translation. FHA is what kind of down payment? Somebody tell me. Not Matt. Don't be shy.
Did you say not Matt?
I said not you. Yeah.
3.5.
Somebody. Thank you, Nate. Awesome. Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't figure out my mute button.
So you just think about the math on that, right? You're talking almost 490 grand. So, you know, FHA clients can buy with the minimum down payment up to about 490, right? The 2-unit, 3-unit, and 4-unit. So this comes into play quite a bit as you're talking about duplexes. You know, you think about really nice duplexes that can exceed, you know, maybe that $604,000 amount. But, you know, the reality is the way the guidelines are written, you could go buy, you know, a roughly $925,000 fourplex and just do 3.5% down. I caution you, and this is coming up a lot with FHA loans on multi-unit properties. So, Colin, can you buy a triplex and just put 3.5% down? Yes, you can. But FHA has the self-sufficiency test, which basically means that the new mortgage payment cannot exceed 3/4 of the total rents of the property. Give you a real life example, okay? You've got a fourplex. Rent is $1,000 on each unit. All right, so all the rents, including the occupied unit of this fourplex, you're getting $4 grand a month in gross income, okay? The mortgage payment can't be more than $3,000, right? Well, as you go up in price, obviously the mortgage is higher and you're going to run up against the rents a lot more quickly than you think. So you've got a lot of listing agents out there right now that are saying, come buy my triplex, 3.5% down FHA. Come buy my quad, 3.5% down FHA. True, but it's going to be very unlikely that it's going to hit this self-sufficiency test. Okay, so we haven't had to care about this for a number of years because rates have been so low. But now, especially inexperienced lenders and sometimes realtors, they're running into this issue. So I would caution you when we talk about FHA, we talk about duplexes, it doesn't apply. Duplexes are easy, okay? But those 3 and 4 unit properties, be careful if you're using FHA financing. Questions on that self-sufficiency test? It's just come up a lot lately.
Hey, Colin, is there anything with those
3 and above units where the borrower needs reserves, or is that separate from the test, the self-sufficiency test?
Yeah, you'll often have reserves that are required on 3 and 4 unit properties, depending on the loan type.
Okay.
So that's something where what should happen is that the lender should go through market 3 units and then run it through the automated underwriting system, which all lenders, brokers, whatever use. Okay. And then it will tell you, this requires 2 months reserves. I mean, it'll tell you on the analysis how many months of reserves are required. So it will vary depending on the type of loan and then the type of property, number of units. A duplex may not require, whereas a 3 to 4 unit property may require. Is the owner occupying one of the multi-units, or is this an investment property? If so, definitely reserves. So there's really no black and white answer, but the black and white answer is given to the loan officer if the loan officer is doing their job. Does that make sense, Tanner?
Yeah, thanks, Colin.
Cool. All right. We're almost done. USDA. USDA will follow conventional. Okay, so they're going to follow conventional up to that max loan amount of 726 and change. All right, but you're going to find that you can make too much money to qualify for a USDA loan, no doubt. Okay. In fact, I just pulled, and it's kind of hard to see, but Meeker County, Minnesota. Anybody know where that is? Where's Meeker County?
North, I think. Malacca or something area, like past Malacca. I don't.
Okay.
It's west.
It's west.
Litchfield.
Litchfield. Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Clearly I was way off.
I looked at maps, so I had no idea.
That's what I was just going
Googled
for.
it.
Yeah. Cassie, my answer is always the same too. So, somewhere up north for sure. Yeah. So, look at Meeker County. Okay. And this is for the most part, I feel like Steve Kornacki going through the counties if you're watching election coverage, but this is a rural county where the property would be USDA eligible. So you could do a 0% down USDA loan. All right. The problem is you cannot make more than $107,800. Okay. And that, by the way, USDA counts all your side gigs and, your spouse's side gigs, even if they're not in the loan. So they have a very strict income limit, right? So typically you're going to cap out, around a $400,000, $380,000 mortgage, because USDA has tighter debt to income limits. And I understand, don't do a bunch of USDA loans, but it is a great product if the borrower fits the profile. Okay. So, the reality is, yeah, you could have a listing that was $726,200, and you could say eligible for conventional and FHA, well, not FHA, VA, USDA, but it's going to be very difficult for a USDA borrower to fit these income limits and not, and still qualify for the loan, if you follow me there. So 400,000 is a pretty good rule of thumb for USDA. And remember, USDA is cheaper than FHA in terms of their upfront, and their mortgage insurance is pretty cheaper. So it's definitely a good product, again, as a borrower fits the profile. All right, what about VA? VA is unlimited. I wish.
Oh my God.
Gotcha. Yeah, I figured Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited. What's that? I gotta go get him right now. I'm done with this. Yeah.
I can look at him.
Okay, I'll come down. I will. My child is sick. No, it's all good. So yeah, Mr. Unlimited we have here. That's a good reminder of VA. The VA loan limit does not exist, right? So the reality is, as long as the veteran has their full entitlement, it used to be they couldn't borrow above the county loan limit without having to put an extra 25% down of the difference. It was very complex. So VA just said, doesn't matter, we're good. And then what ends up mattering is what will the lender allow? Okay. We broker loans to the #1 lender in the United States now, just overtook Rocket, a company called UWM. And they're very forward thinking on this. So they'll do 0% down up to 2 million. Now the veteran still has to qualify for the loan, but that's something that people don't often think about. They think about VA as following conventional. And so, max VA is going to be 726,000. No, there's no limit if you're with the right lender, which is why you have brokers that look at different options for you. So 0% down up to 2 million is the shorthand of it on VA. Any questions about that? It's kind of a newer thing. Okay. That's all I got, guys. We'll make these available as well. I'll make sure you get a copy of them if you want to kind of take some nuggets. Maybe you think about some social media stuff, but yeah, appreciate you guys being here as always, and we'll keep working to provide good content here on Wednesdays to give you a good understanding of mortgages. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Colin.
Cassie.
1 second, Colin. Oh my
Hey.
goodness. Sorry about that.
No problem. Did you take her or no? Do I need to go down there? Okay, gotcha. All right, see ya.
Colin,
Hey Cassie, is this like a Holly thing or what do you think?
I'm not
Like
sure.
pictures of running these? Are you
get
getting
this.
relieved of this?
Get this though, before we talk about that.
Oh shoot, I'm sorry. I have you on mute.
I just
Now I
got a
can hear you.
call. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Mhm.
I just got a call from a closing that I'm supposed to have next week. The stupid HOA put on the condo questionnaire that 35 of their 100 units had their decks replaced and the others will be replaced in the spring. Our deck was one that was replaced. Underwriting for this mortgage company will not fund the loan until all the decks are replaced.
Seriously?
Yeah, I've never heard of this before.
Okay,
So
tell
this
me
guy
about
was just calling me a mile a minute. He's got the file transferred to him and blah, blah, blah. But I've never heard of a company doing that before. Have you?
No. You said you got it taken care of?
Well, it sounds like this was the new loan officer, or I think
Oh.
he's a broker like you guys are. And the first company he had put it through just informed them yesterday. But mind you, we're closing next week and they've known about the deck since August.
The HOA or the mortgage company?
The mortgage company, couldn't be August, September I can't remember what he said. I just think that's weird. There's plenty of funds in the HOAs.
Yeah. I mean, unless it's considered just
Sure.
like if the appraiser comments that it's a health and safety issue, then.
But my unit's deck has been replaced.
So this is a straight condo. Okay, got it. Your deck is replaced. So
The rest, only 35 of the 105 units have been replaced. I am one that has been replaced. it was the HOA's condo questionnaire stated that only 35 of the 105 have been replaced, and they said they weren't willing to take on that liability.
Is it, how many stories?
Two.
Two. Jeez, it's so silly. Were you in on have you been dealing with this deferred maintenance stuff? Because what they're probably doing is calling deferred maintenance.
Yeah, but my unit's replaced.
What happens is all the after the Surfside condo collapse. So at the beginning of this year, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac
Oh.
put forth this guidance, and hang on, I
I bet
actually,
you that's it. I know what you're talking about, and I
Yeah.
bet you that's it. I
because
I
they're
didn't
like,
even think
well,
about
this
that.
is maintenance that's deferred. Well, the thing is that there, the guideline on it is clear as mud. So there's no way to actually determine, it's like, okay, well, think outside the box. Obviously, I don't think that, your issue is going to cause a collapse of a building.
No, but the reason the decks had to be replaced is because something along the lines of not being installed properly, and they were a structural issue of concern.
Yeah.
So I bet you that's exactly where it comes back down to. Still just irritating, but nonetheless.
It is.
Back
Yeah.
to your question, and I represent the seller, not the buyer, but your question on if I'm gonna keep doing this or Holly, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm actually meeting with Liz this afternoon because they seem to be changing a lot of things around, and I quite honestly don't really know where my role lies anymore. So that's what I'm having a conversation with Liz about this afternoon.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I
Gotcha.
don't think it's anything negative. They just are transitioning onboarding to Holly and Michelle, which is something I used to do. So I'm kind of just going, well, what do I do? What are my role expectations? So that's what we're chatting about this afternoon. And then I don't know if I'm taking over more of the training because I've been doing it. So I don't know if that's just going to be part of because I have a little bit more of the real estate experience than Holly has. So
Yeah, for sure.
so I'll let you know for sure. I mean, we'll keep going on these, and either her, myself, or someone will be here to host them, but
Yeah. This is part of Parker's orbit, it feels like,
what do you mean?
just stuff changes all the time.
Yeah. Well, and it
Yeah.
does. I know that it's just a matter of getting the right people in the right seats. As in any organization, but
I feel really, I think it's just kind of like the growth is really good, I think, like,
yeah, no, it is. I just all of a sudden they took all the tasks that I was doing away, and I'm like, oh, do I have a job?
oh,
That's more where I'm like, oh, am I not needed anymore? I don't know.
yeah, I don't think that's the case.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, let me know. And anything I could do to help, along facilitating these are good. I'm
Yeah.
just all over the place. I've got one kid who's getting picked up from school because he claims he's sick. And then we got, yeah. So I'm all over the place this morning.
no problem. I understand that. We've been dealing with it for weeks in my household. So
it's like you never get back to normal. Like,
no, you don't. Well, if you want to hear a funny, and then I'll let you go. So my daughter's name is Clara Renette, and she plays the clarinet.
I like that.
It was brought to my attention last night that that's quite humorous amongst her classmates. It never even dawned on me.
How
that's what
old
we're
is she?
dealing with. She's 12. So she's actually my don't give a shit kid. She doesn't care what anybody thinks about her. She's tough skinned. She doesn't get bullied around, but that's the joke going around school. And, I was like, sorry, I didn't realize when I was naming you 12 years ago that you'd play the clarinet, but
Right. Yeah,
It's always something with kids.
yeah.
Well, I'll let you get going on whatever you need to do, and we'll let you know for sure who will be hosting these going forward, but someone will.
All right, sounds great.
Okay, bye.
Thanks. Bye, Cassie.